anytime, any day. Why not right now? Stop looking up to your boss and start being your own boss. Don't work for paychecks. Work for dreams with no regrets. This is Cracking the Entrepreneur Code. If you have the passion, we'll create the blueprint. Now, your host. You know him from his 7 tips to build the business you always wanted, and now you're about to hear a lot more. Jack H.M. Wong.
Welcome to the other episode of Cracking the Entrepreneur Code podcast show. I'm your host, Jack Wong. Okay, so in this episode, I'm going to bring on another very successful entrepreneur, and he's an expert of dealing with something that many of you may not want to actually acknowledge. I'm not going to say what it is right now. I just want to introduce my guest first. His name is Sooknanan, and he's actually the author of his book Abundance, A Journey from Anxiety and Depression. And then what is good about Jay is that he's actually supporting people and his community in the well-being practices, health services, and financial independence. So I would love to have Jay officially on board. How are you today, sir?
I'm great, sir. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So before we deep dive into topic about anxiety, depression, success, I just want to ask you to share with our audiences your background. So tell us a bit more about yourself and why do you do what you're doing right now?
Okay, so I've been chasing a dream. That was the American dream, right? Become a doctor. Then I decided, this is the American dream and this is what society is dictating for me because I'm not listening to my inner self. And then when you veer off such a strong path that you were ready to sign up for medical school and just go on to your own personal journey to do what you really love, because that was a child dream. And I'm not a child anymore. I'm a grown man. And I have a different mindset, and I've seen the world, and I see how I truly want to help the world. Mm-hmm. And when I was making transition of what I wanted to be and switch, it took a lot of toll on my mindset because I was fighting what society had brainwashed me with. Get a good education, go to school, study hard, and go work a job and settle down with my life. This is not the life I'm going to live. I'm going to live the life I want. I get to decide. I matter, and I choose what I want. What has grounded me to succeeding is taking care of my well-being. That's why I want to teach people well-being. Take my mental, chanting, meditating, working out, eating right, physical exercise. All those things are key. Then for the mindset, you need to listen to motivation. For me, I needed to listen to motivation. I needed to read the right books. I needed to get the right coaching and the right mentoring for my financial independence. And all these things are happening like so fast once you really just start going towards it and taking care of it. Because if you don't take care of your inside and your mind, whatever story you're writing for yourself in your mind, that's what you're going to live out. And society has already dictated a story in our mind. That's why we go get a job. And that's why we have cultivated that as our thoughts. So we got to cultivate the thoughts we want and make sure we go get it.
Yeah, so I'm glad that you actually have echo with a lot of my guests previously on the show. And this script about what the parents have taught about getting a job, going to school, do well, and eventually get a pay rise. The standard stuff that is so routine that unfortunately the system actually produces a lot of people like this. We call them the slaves. And the best part of that is that they are so compliant with listening to and following the instructions of the masters. So have you chosen not to be the slave, which is the byproduct of the education system right now, and you decide to take charge of your life. And I do recognize and acknowledge you for willing to make that decision. It's not easy. So before you make that decision, do you consult anybody? Have you talked to your family members? Have you talked to friends? And what were the responses?
So my family has always seen me successful because of everything I do, I make sure I get good at it. They want me to be safe. They want to protect me. And they've learned one thing from society, right? Get a good job, the school and all these things. I couldn't follow their path. But I'm very well respected because of where I come from and what I've done with my life. I've changed so much. I've been on the bad sides. I've seen a lot of bad things. And for me to be on such an accelerated level and doing good things and helping people, family can't really say anything, right? I have never done anything bad, but I've been on bad paths. Walk on the right path and stand strong and not let society dictate where I'm going and decide. My family, they can't really tell me anything. But I've known in situations where I see people, like my mom has tried to dictate me a long time ago, like not dictate me, but she told me one thing, like, Jay, if you're going to start this thing, like the doctor thing, she was like, why not go into politics or anything else and all these other things? Why just stay focused on one thing, right? Stay focused and just go get that one thing. But with that one would have put me in 200-300 grand debt where I'd be working to pay it off for the rest of my life and being a slave. Like you were saying, I'm going to be a slave. And I'm going to help people the way I want to help them. If I became a doctor, I would not be able to help them the way I want to help. I would have to treat them the way the world and society tells me, and not allow them to heal themselves and show them the way to take care of themselves.
Okay, it is interesting to hear that, because the world is controlled by politics, whether we like it or not. The world is controlled by this traditional thinking process about education and the result of the education. We can't control that. However, what we can control is our determination, our mindset, and more importantly, the actions. And it's because of the actions that we take, we can influence other people with like minds to do things similar to what we do. So I always believe one thing: to change other people's lives, first of all, I've got to start from myself. And I'm glad that you are another person I know who are able to make that decision. It's not easy. I reminded myself that many years ago when I started my business, it's the same thing. My environment was not supportive. Everybody is looking at me and say, Jack, the moment you leave your job, you are going to fail. And you know what? I'm so anxious waiting for you to come back to the corporate world. It's not an easy environment to live with, honestly. And none of my friends understands what I have gone through in the last 7 years. In the process, I'm sure you may have gone through the same process too, whereby those you have made friends in the past, but because of the different path that we have decided to take, your friends are not really talking to you, or you somehow feel that they are a bit disassociated with you. So because we take on a different journey. So it's not an easy path. Like my previous guest on the show actually said nicely. He said that, well, we are just living in an insane world where we are sane. And I asked, like, why do you mean by that? Because they thought that entrepreneurs are crazy, but we actually are normal people. We just live our life in extraordinary manner. What a nice way of putting that. So I want to deep dive into a bit of what you do. You talk about the well-being practices. Can you elaborate a bit more about what exactly is this well-being practices, and give us a little bit of the meat about this thing called well-being practices? Would you be able to do that?
For sure. But also I want to touch on what you were just saying real quick. You know, when you go on your path, it reveals who your true friends are. Sometimes when you're living this, sane life in the insane world, they're going to be like, they have to look in the mirror and realize they were just following along and not living their own life, right? So I commend you for taking that step forward and allowing them, shining your light to allow them to live their dreams. And for me, when I had made the transition, because I was facing all the doubt of my family and friends and having to face that, that's what put me in like a state of anxiety, right? Like, oh, am I going to mess up? I had everything set up to be a doctor. Am I going to mess up? And it came to a point where a loud voice came in my head and said, if life is so bad, right? Because I was coming down to, I was getting into depression because I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. It came into my voice. If life is so bad, why didn't you go jump out the window? I never thought I would face that concept, right, of suicide, right? And I got up and I decided, I matter and life is great. But that was just the surface of turning. I had to also make my mindset with motivation, working out, start my well-being practices. That's what shifted me the next 2 weeks. It said, is life really so bad? The voice in my head. It said, is life really so bad? That's when I decided I matter. I've helped so many people already in my lifetime, and I'll continue to do so. And I'm going to live out my dream. So when you ask me, what do I mean by well-being practices? Right. So what I'm doing is collaborating with health coaches, life coaches. I'm an integrative wellness and life coach, acupuncture, whatever is holistic. Like when it's too long due. But if you had taken care of yourself before, you could prevent this. And even medicines you could get away from if you treat them the right way with the right things. Some people just don't know. So I'm working to really get down to what people really want in life and get them to get out of the insane world and be sane.
I love that. Yes.
The basics of living is to come back to the root. You know, what are we eating? You know, are we taking care of our mind? Are we taking care of ourselves? Right? Because you have to be a role model, right? Because everybody's running around for a job, a 9 to 5, a check. You know, are you taking care of yourself? Are you making sure you're home for your family? Are you making these things happen? Really coach people back to living the life they dream of and they want. Right? That's one thing we do. And then that's the well-being portion. And then with the financial independence, what we tapped on, that's where you learn to get a mentor. Because you don't want to be healthy and physically good and not have money in your pocket.
Oh, yes,
right?
Of course. Yep.
Right. So we also teach them, you know, how to become financially independent. You know, how to not have to work a 9 to 5, but still make great income. And these are things we also help them with. So we help everybody in every facet of their life, their body, their mind, and their soul. And they're going to get to enjoy their life. They're going to get to have the experiences they want. For what I've realized from a lot of people, especially as they get older, they have to shrink their dreams to fit into their paycheck. So then when they see you dreaming, they have to look into themselves, and you see them having to shrink their dreams, and you feel so like you have this empathy for them. It kind of makes my body vibrate to see them to shrink their dreams, and it makes me want to, like, it makes me feel emotional. I have to face this.
Yeah.
I mean, financial freedom, and I could help them, and I support them in that way.
So it's a holistic practices, in other words, like eat well, do well, financially well. And of course, it's not as easy as we say we can do it. Like the moment you say we can do it, it's like not as easy as just saying to yourself, it is good start. But that requires a lot of discipline. Like what I can sense, like what you have just talked about can be summarized in 2 words. One is your determination, that you have the desire to really get out of that environment and do something differently. And the second one is discipline. You've got to really be disciplined in what you do. Like when you talk about the topic on health services, like what you eat, what you feed to your body is very important. But you know what? We, the human being, have this tendency. Sometimes we have greeds. We will say that, wow, it just one time. Like I have not had this big fat meat for a very long time. So it's okay just to have one time. Because what does life mean if we eat so well, healthily, with discipline? Like, can we allow ourselves to have one nice meal one time? And you know what? By allowing ourselves to do away with this discipline, that is kind of like telling us that, well, we can always create exceptions to the general rule. And then exceptions become the new rules. So I would first of all confess that eating healthy is important, and I do acknowledge that. And at the same time, if you don't get a coach to hold you accountable, you can say anything you want. We are human beings. I've been there. So I do recognize that it's not easy if nobody is watching you or hold you accountable. And that's why I love the part of you saying that they need coaches, they need mentors to make sure that they are on the right path and do it with discipline.
Completely on the same page with you, brother. Yeah. So with the determination, that's first, like you're saying. And what the determination is figuring out what you want and how to get it, right? And you focus on that. That's determination. And discipline for me is really finding out the right, maybe one habit and making that into your life daily, right? So you have to be disciplined on that one habit, and that will give you the routine for the change. And then you could keep building onto that one habit and build onto another thing and just become more and more disciplined. Because like you were saying, we can say, yeah, we can do it. But if we don't implement it and take it, the discipline not so serious, just learning to get into a good habit and be disciplined on that one habit so we can build on more and more better habits, so we don't cave in and go back and we like want that one juicy meal. It's to start one habit and start changing. That one habit could be consistent of like a few habits, like reading, listening to motivation, and working out, or sending a message or keeping in communication. That could be one habit, right? All wrapped into one. But once you get disciplined with that, then you can build it more and more and more and really take over your mind and your life to live the
Yeah.
life you want.
And the best thing what you said is that we don't need to start with many new habits. We can start one, get good at that, and we'll just put one more in. You can do it step by step. We don't need to overload with so many new habits because the mind may not be able to take it. Oh my God, there's so many things I have to do. The best thing I could do is not doing it. Right? So I believe
Right.
that you can just by taking baby steps. And we as I as a coach myself, I always tell my clients that you don't need to do all this. Now that I've given so many ideas, just pick one and declare that you are going to commit to doing this, and then you take action. I will hold you accountable, and we'll check again your results the week after. So it's that very easy to say, but until we have gone through the process, it is actually a very different story. I always reckon that. That's why a lot of people feel that they are not good enough. They are just too busy with their life. They don't know what they want, like you said about the clarification of the direction. And then the other thing that I also acknowledge the fact is that most people honestly are very busy. Like I've just mentioned the phrase, like they are very busy with their life. They want to change, but they are very caught up with what they have right now because they are suffering from this thing called if I don't work, money doesn't come in. And then how do I pay my bills? I have this dream, but I do not know how I get there. The other part of the depression is that they may be very busy with what they want. I'll just share with you the story of my dad, and it's actually a classic story. So the story about a person that I heard from someone, I can't remember from who, he says that, wow, if a person finish a job or has retired, but suddenly he felt lost in his life, he has no idea what he wants, the universe will take the person out of the game in the next 5 years. I mean, that is what I heard. But it's not true because my dad actually returns to the heaven in just 2 years. The moment he finished his business, he sold it, and then he retired. He lost his meaning of life. It's just 2 years my dad returned to the universe. So I always believe that having a goal is important, but you got to have different goals in your life. You must keep moving forward with goals. The goals are not there to enable you to reach. Like one of my guests actually said that having a goal is helping you to navigate, to move forward so that you can take action and progress every single day. And then you can have another goal that keep you move further and further and further. Yeah, so I acknowledge people with this clarity with what they want in life, with the directions, they know exactly the game plan, they know how to get there. They know when to get there. They know that they have to take action with discipline to get there. So I'm glad that you actually help people doing that. So we of course we say that in the world we need more of these people to help other people. Which therefore I want to ask you another question. Like, what is your mission and why is it so important to you?
So I'm definitely gonna answer that right now, but I
Sure, go
also
ahead.
want to say, touching on financial independence,
Hmm.
we could teach people that without even charging them personally. I just want to let you know that. And what my real vision and mission is to make sure that we get together. I'm gonna make a movie. In the movie, in like 2 to 5 years, that's my plan.
Hmm.
And I'm working on that right now. I'm focusing on this business and helping people and structuring them to make sure they're successful
Mm-hmm.
and build the financial freedom for myself so I could do these things in a first class way and introduce a movie where I show concepts of like less meat eating. I don't eat personally, I'm vegan,
Mm-hmm.
but to teach people just to be moderate about meat because it's destroying our planet. That's one. So also, replenish our planet, take care of us, the planet and our body, and then further go into these countries that have no food and water, nourished with food and water for weeks to get them back to strength, and the conversation with the government to build a life for these people, and have the kids in school or whatever system we build right away after those 3 weeks, and have those same people that are in poverty become a contribution by building their own society and agriculture to help the planet. And that's one of my biggest missions in life right now. And that's why I'm doing all these other things to set me up for success and make sure that happens the right way and I'm not struggling, and I make sure it happens.
Right. It's a very, very big mission. I can feel the size of the dream is very big. So I'm glad that you are working towards that, number one. And number two is you need to well equip with yourself so that you are able to take on this dream. It's like if I'm not ready to take on a big game, yes, the game is big, but I'm not ready for that. So I'm glad that you have said like what entrepreneurs should know is that you can have a very big dreams, but you've got to ask yourself right now, do you have the resources to support you to reach that goal or to reach that dream? Are you ready for taking another step? Are you able to move forward? It's like you need a lot of things to keep yourself in the game. It's not an easy life for me to say that. To all the entrepreneurs, it's not predictable life. Every day is going to be very different. I believe that's why people don't like this. They should be in jobs, but the life is going to be quite fulfilling because all entrepreneurs have one common thing. They all have a dream.
Right. That's the reason I wrote the book as well. To show everyone we face challenges,
Right.
to understand we're all human, right? And go live out your dream. And don't let anxiety put you into a small circle. Like anxiety to me is just trying something new. Like you're saying, you left your job, right? But you knew you'd be okay, right? And it's just trying something new. And that's what anxiety is. And a lot of people face it, and some people don't, and they become smaller and they shrink themselves. So I'm telling you to face it, take care of your well-being, which helps you face it. And what gives us the determination is finding out our purpose. So in the third chapter, it's what is your purpose, right? Finding your purpose. And I guide them how to find their purpose. And then chapter 4, I go into beliefs. And then I go, because we have a lot of beliefs about money, that people are rich and that rich people are greedy. How are we ever going to become rich if we're thinking that way? So I touch on that topic. I touch on routines and rituals. And the key to the book is not anxiety and depression. It just shows people that anxiety and depression just shows we face challenges. What the real thing is to realize is we're abundant, and to have an abundant mindset and not to live in fear, because there's more than enough. And we have more than enough, and we have to realize that.
Yep. I obviously learned this concept of abundance from the famous futurist in the world, Dr. Buckminster Fuller. And we say that the world has enough for everyone. The world is in abundance. The good news is that if that's true, we should be in world peace. The reality, unfortunately, is that people are scared, people are in fear, may have fear of losing something. So that's why
they
scarcity
mindset.
And
hold on.
That's why scarcity mindset, the greed comes in. It's very unfortunate, but you know what? This is the reality somehow we are living, unfortunately.
Even the poor people, they could be greedy, and they might think they're not greedy. You're greedy. You're holding on to everything because you don't even have the imagination to think and do bigger and help more people. You're being greedy yourself and selfish in your own way. You just want to make sure you're safe and you're protected.
Totally agree with you. And you know what? It's very nice talking to you, Jay. I will just end with 2 things to sum up this episode. So I always ask my guests to give me a number 1 favorite quote of his or hers to share with my audiences. And Jay, you gave me this one. It says, "The universe seeks to help those who help others." Could you give us the final take as to why this is your favorite quote?
Because the more I work to help others, the more everything in my life becomes better and better.
Sounds good. Thank you for sharing. And then the last question is obviously like, where do we find out more about you and of course your book? Where can we check out your website and any social media link?
I'm also on Amazon, so you could just look up my book, Abundance, A Journey from Anxiety and Depression.
Sure.
I'm on Facebook at facebook.com/j.sooknanan3. And I'm on a website for my business is Body, Mind, and Soul, BMS.com. And you can reach out to me on Facebook anytime. I have on a suit and tie. It's a headshot. My name is Jay, J-A-Y, last name Sooknanan, which is Sooknanan. And I'm willing to help anybody with their financial independence and their well-being.
That's very generous of you because you already operate in the abundance mindset, which is the key. So thank you very much for sharing with us the well-being practices, being healthy, being financially independent, and live the life that we want and we deserve. So thank you very much, Jay, for being on our show today. And I look forward to
Thank
having
you, Jack,
you.
for having me here.
Yes, I look forward to having you again sometimes in future. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes another episode of Cracking the Entrepreneur Code podcast show. You know what? In the next episode, I'm going to bring on another successful entrepreneur who is going to share with you the wisdom, the intelligence, and the experiences of how you can learn to take your business to the next level. Until we next meet, see you next time. Sign off now. Bye-bye.
To continue cracking the entrepreneur code, subscribe for more episodes and download the Amazon bestseller, Cracking the Entrepreneur Code, 7 Tips to Build the Business You Always Wanted at crackingentrepreneurcode.com. Learn more about author and host Jack H.M. Wong and book your 30-minute discovery session to overcome any professional challenge at jackhmwong.com/apply.